Hi, and welcome to another episode of Mzansi Business. Vodacom, a true trailblazer in the South African telecommunications industry. As the first mobile network to be launched in the country, Vodacom has been at the forefront of shaping the future of communication, ultimately evolving into the powerhouse it has become today, the largest mobile network in South Africa. From super-fast network speeds to cutting-edge tech solutions, Vodacom has embedded itself in South African consciousness with some iconic sponsorships and marketing along the way. Vodacom continues to lead the charge in bringing people together, powering businesses, and fueling innovation that goes beyond borders. In today's video, we'll uncover how Vodacom kickstarted the communications revolution in South Africa, explore some of their groundbreaking innovations, and see how they've managed to stay ahead of the curve for decades. But that's not all. We'll take a closer look at an over a decade-long legal battle involving Vodacom and a former employee over the renowned Please Call Me invention that is still somewhat unresolved. I'm sure you can tell we have a lot to cover, so without further ado, this is the story of Vodacom. Historically, South Africa's telecom sector was dominated by the state-owned entity South African Post and Telecommunications, or the Department of Post and Telecommunications, which held a monopoly on fixed line services. The South African postal sector and telecom sector were both under this one state-owned entity, right? But in 1991, the South African government decided to split these into two separate entities, and thus Telkom was born, as well as the South African Post Office. Also in 1991, as the nation was transitioning politically, the government recognized the potential of cellular technology to connect its people and drive economic development. The government wanted the cellular market to be at least competitive, and in early 1993 authorized and put 2 cellular licenses out to tender. The government required applicants to demonstrate how their choice of technology would lead to high usage and low costs, as well as how it would support the South African telecoms industry and provide services to poor communities. Telkom was awarded half of one license. It then partnered with UK telecoms giant Vodafone and the Rembrandt Group, which was majority owned by the Rupert family, to form Vodacom. MCell, but what we know today as MTN, was announced as the winner of the second cellular license a few months later. The table was set for the rollout of cellular services in South Africa. But this did not happen without significant battles to achieve this outcome. The ANC, who were about to come into power, viewed the cellular license process as a form of privatization that conflicted with its vision for its telecommunications policy. The party wanted cellular services to be offered as a separate autonomous parastatal service through Telkom rather than through private companies. The ANC was also concerned about black involvement in the cellular industry. The National Party government at the time refused to stop the tender process, saying that it would lead to legal battles and would jeopardize foreign investment. The ANC were not backing down and even threatened to revoke the cellular licenses once it came into power. Through hard negotiations, a lot of lobbying and politicking, the mobile operators with the support of the National Party government won the battle. It is said that this tense battle was also diffused by giving unions a BEE shareholding in the newly licensed operators. As discussed earlier, Vodacom was a joint venture between Vodafone, Telkom, and the Rembrandt Group. The ownership was as follows. Telkom had a 50% stake, Vodafone a 35% stake, and the Rembrandt Group 15%. Vodacom received its GSM license in 1993, and Vodacom CEO at the time, Alan Craig, convinced shareholders to spend millions on advertising campaigns to promote their services, which would only be launched in 1994. As the winds of democracy were blowing in South Africa, Vodacom decided to use a man known as Professor Kole Omotoso, a Nigerian-born man with a South African citizenship, as the face of its adverts and branding all the way up to the 2000s. One of the early Vodacom campaigns was an iconic Yebo Gogo advertising campaign that significantly contributed to Vodacom's brand and the national consciousness. In 1994, during South Africa's first democratic elections, the government agreed to a limited test phase before the networks went live officially, with 1,250 cell phones being distributed to election officials. And in June 1994, Vodacom's network officially went live with the launch of their commercial mobile voice services. Vodacom's initial growth projections targeted 250,000 subscribers within 10 years, but they quickly realized that the demand was so much higher. Vodacom connected 10,000 customers on the first day, 50,000 customers in the first 4 weeks, and 100,000 in the first 5 months. 1995, the company expanded outside of South Africa after being awarded a license to operate in Lesotho. They would also become a sponsor of the South African national rugby team, holding exclusive rights in the telecommunications sector. In 1996, Vodacom launched a new prepaid service, VodaGo, which connected 60,000 customers in the first month. The Motorola StarTAC was a highly popular phone in South Africa at the time. 1996 though, Vodafone and Venfin, the company that held the Rupert family stake in Vodacom, sold a 5% stake in Vodacom to BEE company Hoskin Consolidated Investments for 118 million. But Hoskin sold its 5% stake back to Vodafone and Venfin in 2002 for 1.5 billion rands, on which it made a crazy plus 1000% profit. In 1998, Vodacom became the first cellular network in the world to launch prepaid internet access. They also opened the world's first cellular shopping mall, VodaWorld, which was in Midrand. Also in 1998, Vodacom became an official sponsor for Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates. In 1999, Vodacom is awarded a GSM license to operate in Tanzania. Operations would only commence in the year 2000 though. The Vodacom Challenge was also founded that year, 1999. Initially, the competition involved the two Vodacom-sponsored Soweto Giants and two other invited African clubs. From 2006 onwards, they would invite European clubs that included Tottenham Hotspurs, Manchester United, and Manchester City until the competition was cancelled in 2012. In the year 2000, Vodacom parent company Vodafone acquired a 40% holding in Safaricom, the largest mobile operator in Kenya. Safaricom would later become an important strategic partner for Vodacom in the future. Also in 2000, Vodacom added over 3 million users, making it the largest telecommunications company in the country. That same year, Vodacom took over from Coca-Cola as the main sponsor on the iconic Ponte City building in Berea. This building was the tallest residential skyscraper in Africa for 48 years, so marketing-wise, this was genius from Vodacom. In 2001, Vodacom became Tanzania's largest mobile network provider after just 1 year of operations in the country. They even provided coverage to Mount Kilimanjaro, which became the highest point in the world to be covered by a GSM network at the time, and they would also complete their 124 million rand Century City regional headquarters in Cape Town. 2001 still, the Please Call Me service was formally launched. It was invented by a Vodacom employee at the time, Nkosana Makate. This whole Please Call Me invention would cause Vodacom major problems later down the line with an over a decade-long lawsuit pertaining to remuneration for the invention, but more on that later. In 2002, Vodacom launched in the DRC, and in 2003, launched in Mozambique. Also by 2003, Vodacom's coverage had extended to more than 900,000 square kilometers of South Africa's roads and over 95% of the population. Vodacom also launched the 46664 branded prepaid starter packs in collaboration with the Nelson Mandela Foundation in an effort to spread awareness on HIV/AIDS. Each time a person recharges their cell phone or made a call with the starter pack, Vodacom would contribute a small portion of the money to the 4666 fund to support the fight against HIV/AIDS. 2004, Vodacom launches 3G in South Africa, which dramatically increased the speed of data transmission. Vodacom South Africa also surpasses the 10 million customer mark that year. In 2005, Vodafone Live was launched in South Africa, a platform offering video and picture messages, a range of mobile content and services like games, polyphonic ringtones, and more. Vodacom would also begin sponsoring the Blue Bulls that year, with the team name being rebranded as the Vodacom Bulls.
Also in 2005, Vodacom launched the Yebo Millionaires game show that used to air on SABC1.
It was later rebranded as Vodacom Millionaires
until the show concluded in 2017.
In 2006, Vodacom parent company Vodafone increases its shareholding in Vodacom to 50%, buying up most of the Rupert family shares. In 2007, Vodacom invested in WBS Holdings, which operated under the brand iBurst, a South African mobile broadband internet technology service provider that offered wireless broadband internet and email services. In 2008, Vodacom Business was launched, catering to large and small to medium-sized enterprises, offering enterprise connectivity and communication services. Also in 2008, Telkom sold a 15% share of their holdings in Vodacom for 22.5 billion rands. This has been regarded as one of the biggest blunders in South African telecommunications history. Telkom would spend billions building its new network operator, ATA, to take on MTN and Vodacom, but they couldn't effectively compete against these two giants. In fact, they even had roaming agreements with both MTN and Vodacom to serve its customers. Also at the time, Vodacom was valued at 150 billion rand. Today, they have a market cap of just over 250 billion rand at the time of making this video. Okay guys, I'm going to segue a little here. Another big thing happened in 2008. Former Vodacom employee, Nkosana Makate, took Vodacom to court over the whole Please Call Me invention. He argues that he was supposed to get a share of the revenue generated by the product once it went to market, but that didn't happen. In case you're wondering, how does a Please Call Me make money? while it made money if the other person called back, and also later ads were rolled out onto the please call me message as well. At first, Vodacom denied that their ex-employee had come up with the idea and that he was not due any financial benefits from it. The case went through a number of courts, but eventually in 2016 it reached the highest court, the Constitutional Court, which found in Mr. Makate's favor and ordered the two sides to negotiate remuneration. Vodacom CEO at the time determined a reasonable figure of compensation would be 47 million rands, but Nkosana flat out rejected that figure. He was looking for somewhere close to 20 billion rands. He didn't just want a flat out fee, he wanted a percentage of the revenue generated by the service. Eventually, the case ended up in the Supreme Court of Appeal in 2024, which also ruled in Mr. Makate's favor and ruled that Mr. Makate is entitled to 5 to 7.5% of the revenue derived from the Please Call Me service over an 18-year period starting from 2001, an amount that can end up being in the region of 29 billion rand. As of 2024, Vodacom has appealed this decision and the case is still ongoing. But I personally think Vodacom has no leg to stand on and they will end up having to pay the man his billions. Alright, back to the story. In 2009, Vodacom listed on the JSE and Vodafone also increased its shareholding in the company to 65%. After the Telkom deal was complete, Telkom would then unbundle its remaining 35% stake in Vodacom to its shareholders, and that is how Telkom pretty much relinquished its stake in Vodacom. In 2010, M-Pesa was launched in South Africa, a mobile-based money transfer service. M-Pesa was actually founded in 2007 by Vodacom parent company Vodafone and Kenya's biggest mobile operator, Safaricom. In 2011, Vodacom did a whole rebrand and changed its brand colors from blue to red and a new logo. They had also launched Vodacom Apps, a mobile app store that featured a catalog of over 100,000 apps. In 2012, Vodacom became the first network to launch 4G LTE in South Africa. They had also hit the 50 million customer mark and launched the My Vodacom app, allowing customers to manage their Vodacom accounts on the go. Cell C and Vodacom would also reach a roaming agreement that would let Cell C roam on Vodacom's 3G network. In 2013, Vodacom announced a 7 billion rand deal to acquire Neotel, an operator for fixed-line telecommunication services, but the deal later fell through. Also by 2013, the Vodacom Group was even raking in more profits than its parent company Vodafone's UK operation. In 2014, Vodacom announced a revamped M-Pesa service in South Africa, boasting 8,000 agents at both informal outlets and at major retail partners. Vodacom's BEE share scheme, Yebo Yetu, which was launched in 2008, also started trading over the counter on the Equity Express trading platform. Also by 2014, Vodacom was covering 99.8% of the population in South Africa, which was achieved by setting up cellular sites in many challenging locations. Vodacom also turned 20 that year, gifting all its subscribers 1 gigabyte of data to use for the day. 2014 still, the Vodacom Business Division launched its Fiber to the Business service, and Vodacom also launched their first ever Vodacom branded device, the Smart Kicker smartphone that ran on Android and had a price tag of 549 rand. The phone was made so that Vodacom could make it possible for more South Africans to have access to the internet. In 2015, Vodacom would unveil their Fiber to the Home offering, as well as launching free Wi-Fi for Blue Bulls rugby fans at the Loftus Versfeld Stadium. The government also sold its 13.9% stake in Vodacom to the Public Investment Corporation in a bid to raise funds for a financially stricken Eskom. Vodacom would also reach 65 million active customers in 2015 and would launch the Vodacom Video Play streaming service, which has since been decommissioned. In 2016, Vodacom began rebranding the Western Soweto Tower. The work on the Vodacom Tower was completed in December 2017 in partnership with outdoor ad company JC.co. Also in 2016, Vodacom unveiled Vodacom Next Level, a youth brand aimed at South African youth under the age of 25. It was designed to support youth on their journey to success through technology with things like education and career resources, discounted data bundles, and other initiatives. Vodacom Next Level even at some point had a TV show on Mzansi Magic. They'd also launched their new Play Everyday rewards campaign through the My Vodacom app. I'm not too familiar with it, but this was Vodacom's most successful in its 20-year history, having appealed to 16 million customers in over a 10-month period. In 2017, Showmax launched a new lower price service available exclusively to Vodacom customers. Vodacom would also partner with US-based mobile game publisher Game Mine in a 260 million rand deal to bring subscription-based mobile games to the South African market. Vodacom also stepped away from its sponsorship with the Springboks, which their rivals MTN swiftly took over. Also in 2017, Vodacom acquired a 34% indirect stake in Safaricom after acquiring a majority stake in Vodafone Kenya. And I almost forgot, Vodacom also partnered with DStv and Showmax to bring mobile streaming to its customers with the Vodacom On Demand app. They later managed to get Netflix content on the service as well. And they also launched their latest rewards promotion, the Shake Everyday promotion, that year. 2018, Vodacom launched Africa's first commercial 5G service in Lesotho. They'd also do a partnership with Microsoft, launching Microsoft Azure Solutions, a platform that enables businesses to build anything from simple mobile apps all the way through to internet scale solutions. Also in 2018, Vodacom concluded a major multi-billion rand 3G and 4G roaming agreement with Telkom, whereby Telkom will obtain roaming and facilities leasing from Vodacom. Vodacom even launched its own legal advice services at the end of 2018, with the product being available to purchase separately or as part of a new contract. In 2019, Vodacom and Safaricom acquired the intellectual property of the M-Pesa platform from Vodafone. This deal was important because Vodacom could now make significant savings in royalties paid to Vodafone every year. Vodacom would also launch a new business financing product for small to medium-sized businesses called VodaLend, as well as launching a new crime-fighting app in partnership with the South African Police Service, MySAPS. Also in 2019, Vodacom did the biggest BEE deal in telecoms history, worth 17 billion rand. And I won't lie, this deal is kind of complicated, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. In 2020, Vodacom made a significant donation to the National Department of Health to help combat the COVID-19 pandemic. And also in 2020, Vodacom brought 5G to South Africa, launching in Johannesburg, Pretoria, and Cape Town, with further rollouts planned to other parts of the country. Vodacom also launched Vodabucks that year, the first telco rewards program in South Africa, which aimed to reward customers for their loyalty. In 2021, Vodacom do their largest deal in history, acquiring Vodafone's Egypt operations in a 48 billion rand deal. They would also launch their new VodaPay Super app, which would allow customers access to financial services, entertainment-based content, online shopping, and so much more features. The My Vodacom app has since transitioned into this VodaPay Super app. Also in 2021, Vodacom acquired stakes in fiber provider Vumatel, as well as a company known as Dark Fiber Africa. In 2022, Vodacom expanded to Ethiopia when Safaricom Ethiopia switched on its network and services in the country. Through Vodacom's 34.9% stake in Safaricom, the Vodacom Group effectively hold a 25.7% interest in the Safaricom Ethiopia business. In 2023, Vodacom rebranded the Ponce City building to advertise their VodaPay app. Also in 2023, Vodacom was fined 1 million rand by the National Consumer Tribunal for imposing high cancellation penalties up to 75% on consumers who cancelled their fixed-term contracts before expiry. And in 2024, Vodacom rolled out its new V-Up rewards program with 500 million in prizes and rewards up for grabs. Also in 2024, Vodacom signed Mr. Price Mobile as the first virtual mobile network operator on its network. Prior to this, Mr. Price Mobile was running on the South Sea network. And yeah guys, that's the story of Vodacom up to this point. Other sponsorships I may have missed include Bafana Bafana and Banyana Banyana, the Cheetahs, the Stormers, Bloemfontein Celtics, and even sponsoring sporting events such as the Vodacom Super 14, the Vodacom Cup, the Vodacom Tri-Nations, the Origins of Golf Series, the Lesotho Vodacom Premier League, and the Vodacom Durban July. They have also given us some notable ads over the years, including this classic Meerkat ad, this Bushman ad, and the super hilarious Aero ad, amongst others. Through their operations in other African countries and their affiliation with Safaricom, the company topped 200 million customers for the first time in 2024, with 49 million of those users being from South Africa from the last reported figures.
And this is how the ownership pretty much looks today.
Vodacom has no doubt established itself as a pioneering force in the telecommunications industry, consistently pushing boundaries to enhance connectivity and innovation. Its dedication to empowering communities and bridging the digital divide has made a lasting impact across the regions it serves. As Vodacom continues to evolve, its initial vision for a connected future remains a testament to its leadership and its commitment to the cause. And that's a wrap for this video. If you like content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm Lebukhang, this is Mzansibizness, and I'm out. Peace.